Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies both new and old with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we decided to make this episode a drinking game.
Drinking game.
So anytime we say anything negative at all about this film, about each other, about how John and I stopped mistaking Dave for an ordinary human being a long time ago, you're going to hear the sound.
He's a goat.
That sound means we're taking a drink, and we hope you drink along with us.
So pour yourselves a glass, and we're going back to when the Warner Brothers logo was so sharp it could cut paper instead of their own throats slowly.
Oh, cheers.
Yeah. Jack Warner was apparently ready to cut some throats on this movie. John, you really took that shot.
Yes, he was.
That was a bigger shot than normal.
That's right, people. The random year generator spun 1948, a new year for us, and we decided to go to the hills of Mexico with The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, or for a special backwards bonus, Madre Sierra, the treasure. John, name that episode.
Oh, God damn it. One of the Friends episodes?
Yeah. Shout out to Angela for this one. You've been bamboozled.
Bamboozled, ladies and gentlemen. I love this game.
I like to have a hopping bonus. Yeah, anyway. Okay, shout out. Treasure of the Sierra Madre, that's what we're talking about. John's got a mini review or two. He's going to rapid fire those spoiler free at the top of the episode. If you're new to our show, we shoot from the gut. We shoot from the hip.
Yeah.
We don't listen to other podcasts and give you crap you already know. The movie's old. It's in the AFI list. It's in the AFI quote list.
Oh.
You know it. We're shooting from the hip. I'd never seen it before. David, you seen it before?
Nope.
John?
We did. This was actually recommended 2 years ago by someone on our, because I can't remember because it was fucking 2 years ago. And but we have a form you can enter on our link tree, and you can put in a movie you want to request. And if the year comes up, we'll do it.
Well,
and this one
was. So yeah, not to lose any credibility,
probably
because we
not
haven't
listening.
seen this. We're knocking on 300 episodes. We've seen a lot of good old movies here, but this one is new for us. We're going to be shooting from the hip, no stuffy criticism. We're going to be drinking whiskey and beer and talking about that. That's what we do here on the show. If you're new and you just want to hear about The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, we got to get drinking. So you're going to go ahead and check the show notes and scoot ahead, because after the mini reviews, we'll do a little bit of gripes, maybe a little bit of news. So we try to keep the show notes up to date so you can get to the content that you want. But we also do the setup of the year. What was going on in 1948? What other movies came out this year? And what other world events? It does really help sink this movie into the time. I think this idea of going to Mexico and looking for treasure and then having some chaotic psychological breakdown going on, I think is pretty telling of 1948, which is basically the first year when the world not only recovered from World War II, but it was really headed in that direction. A whole lot of companies were founded and stuff. So I think it's really interesting that this movie...
I mean, the modern version of this, they go to Mexico and look for treasure, and they come back and they, why were you in Mexico? Show me your papers.
They got held up in customs. They did not have global entry. Sorry, I hit John's there. Actually, the global entry machine, I was just in Italy for 2 weeks. The global entry machines, we came back and I was like, I want global entry, so I come back seamlessly. And 3 out of the 6 global entry machines were broken. So really cool. Really glad I did that.
Oh,
when we were coming back, from Paris. When we were coming back from Paris, we were like, it's like the AMC A-list concessions line now. Like everyone has it.
Yes.
So it's a longer line than the other fucking line.
Also, we saved up some points and miles and things so that we could sit near the front of the plane. So everybody in first class was in front of us, and then we're in premium select right behind them for our Delta fans out there. So, of course, every single person in front of us has it, while the other kiosks are wide open. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing waiting in this line of 30 people when there's literally nobody in line yet because we're in the front of the plane except for people in first class? So, yeah, anyway, this is a dumb gripe. Very first world problem here, but I have one more tiny gripe in a good way about Italy, not so good about the Americans, coming up pretty soon. And it's not about the fact that they all have healthcare. But, John, you want to shout our sponsors out?
I do, sure.
You got away with a lot there.
We have a beer sponsor. His name is Carlos Barroza. You can find his handle in the show notes at cbarroza.beer. What's up, Carlos? We also have a music artist in residence named, well, the AKA name is Dasein, Dasein.
The AKA.
That's .sign. You can find the music available on all the usual music platforms. You can go to the show notes, follow the links. Anywhere you listen to music, their music exists. Download it. .sign, DASEIN. You're welcome. Enjoy.
Dave, you have the reddest head I've ever seen in my life right now.
Yeah. My wife had to go to a bridal shower, so I went and wandered down the Jersey Shore while they were. And I'm like, I'll just take a little walk on the boardwalk, and the boardwalk just fucking keeps going.
Yeah. Point plus.
So I was like, I better get some sunscreen. I'll get it at the next place. And then it just kept going.
We got sunburned here this past week too. What's going on?
You know what horrified me about the Jersey Shore?
Everything.
I know this could be anything.
Yeah.
No, it was as an Australian. I'm walking this little kiosk, and it was $15 if you want to walk on the beach. And I'm like, if you set that thing up...
It's 15 now?
It's 15 on the weekends. If you set that up on an Australian beach, there would be a 15. Fucking riot.
Yo,
That's
paid
insane, dude.
New Jersey.
So you're saying it's not to park there. It is to walk on the beach.
You got to pay $25 for parking, and then there's a boardwalk where there's a whole heap of stuff designed to take your money, and then you got to pay $15 if you want to go on the beach.
Guys, we got to move to Italy.
Yes. Live,
guys.
From Florence.
I stayed with the family. They were amazing. They were so generous. It was incredible. A public school teacher and somebody who worked at an office job in the government, and they had 3 properties and free healthcare.
I know.
It's
insane. And even the properties aren't. This is what Elizabeth and I always talk about. We're talking about Europe, or when we've been there before. I think we talked about this when we did The Hunt, a very dramatic film. But I think I brought it up when we were watching that. Right? Not The Hunt. Yeah, was it The Hunt? The Mads Mikkelsen, where he's accused of... Yeah. We were talking about that kind of lifestyle over there. The properties don't even have to be lavish. It's not about opulence and that kind of wealth. It's just they can have places, multiple homes, or at least a home they're proud of, because you're not afraid of something terrible happening to you health-wise. You're not afraid of saving for college for your children. And you're not afraid of maybe taking a chance and starting small businesses. I mean, it's just, God damn it, dude.
Okay, we have a YouTube.
We got to go hunt for gold.
You can see Dave's red face if you go on YouTube there. Anyway, let's get into our mini reviews here.
It's actually not as red on their camera.
Well, we have some news. Let's do some news coverage first.
Yeah.
California has officially passed an increase in their tax incentive.
Yes.
We've talked about this multiple times, about whether or not it would officially happen.
Yep.
New York went up to $800 earlier this year. There are still some states, folks, that are unlimited, have higher amounts, some countries. But for a long time, California, for the past over a decade now, I think has been sitting at $330, which is just not very competitive compared to Georgia's completely uncapped.
Considering they're the 5th biggest economy in the world, and one of their biggest exports is entertainment.
Insane, right? So finally, it went up to $750, which is not uncapped. It's not even New York's 800, but it is at least double. It's a change. It's a movement in the right direction.
That might be enough to remember.
I have a feeling California just needs to see that it will be proof that it will help, and then maybe the door will get open.
Although staying alive for 26.
They fucked up on the permitting thing still, so they need to still fix that.
We're talking about Film LA?
Yeah.
Yeah, signing them on for a 5-year treatment. Guys, I worked with them for 3 solid years. It's the only way you can get a permit in Los Angeles, and it is it's not only their fault, but there's criticism there that is worth discussing about that.
In saying that, I got the production list email just this week actually, and normally it has like 2 or 3 things in LA. There were 16 things in LA.
Wow, because there's not much in New York right now.
It's also been included. Just I know we already know this. 3 of us know this, but just to make sure the world knows this, this also now includes half hour and animation. So this is going to be big. That means maybe like Rob Lowe's game show that he hosts and films in fucking like Dublin will actually be able to shoot.
He flies Americans to Ireland because it's cheaper to fly Americans to Ireland.
Ridiculous. It's just so things are so silly. I'm not against international production. I just want to make that clear. No. That's not the point. The point is just to make sure that
I think people in Ireland would think that's crazy.
It's fucking
crazy. Like, why are you here? Why are we not? Why are we just using Irish people? Okay.
I mean, I'm starting to think that more and more, but
Well, yeah, sure, for other reasons.
Well, it's funny. Since I moved away from Australia, there's a full entertainment campus has opened up down there, like a massive visual effects campus. You always see the SA Film and like all the Australian film commissions like on the end of the movies because they use the visual effects houses down there. So I could have.
That's because Baz Luhrmann's about to make the CGI Joan of Arc to blow our minds.
Yeah.
Blood and fire everywhere.
So
Okay, I have too many reviews. Let me get to them real fast. I won't make this long. I saw 2 weeks ago. I saw 28 Years Later. First things first, go see it in the theater. Go see it in the theater. Go see it in the theater. It's not even because it's like this giant action movie. It's just
for the penis.
See it in IMAX. Yeah.
Without any spoilers, there is some really intense naked zombie penis in this movie.
Like, it's an
you're not going to be able to escape it. It's coming for you multiple times in the movie.
It's an undead sundial.
It's there. Oh my good Lord. Anyway, it is good. I just want to say this, and maybe I'm risk spoiling it just a touch for some people, but I would not say this is a spoiler, and I wish I had known this going into the movie, because it made me feel kind of strange about the ending, not knowing it. This is the first installment of a trilogy.
Yes.
And they have already filmed the second one. It is planned on being released, and depending on how the first and the second one do, they are going to film and release the third one. So it does not feel like an entire gigantic story. I mean, of course it does. Like there's a beginning, middle, and end, but it feels like the beginning of something. And I was a little let down because I didn't know that. If now that I know that, I felt like it was a really great first installment.
It felt like the beginning of something because it was. Clear. Yeah. Actually, some people have spent the week on the internet pointing out that the release of the second one is 28 weeks later.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So, yeah.
I'm just going to make this. I just want to say this because it's just part of a review without giving anything away. Danny Boyle and Anthony Todd Michael. Is that his name? No. The cinematographer Dave, who got so famous making all those Danny Boyle movies with those low budget cameras, the 28 years later, a days later.
Yeah, it's gone. I can never remember his name.
Somebody look it up.
Okay.
This cinematography is not copycatting that. They do their own thing. Of course, there's some kinetic editing and filmmaking, but it does its own language. And in the middle of this movie, Danny Boyle reminds you that even though he's known for that fast-paced, really kinetic, kind of in-your-face, not necessarily action, but cinematography and editing style, there's a sequence in the middle of this that just reminds you you're in the hands of a master, and it's so incredibly emotional in the middle of a zombie tale, and that deals with like the philosophy of death, and it's so beautiful. And it just oh man, I was just really moved a couple times in this movie. It's not what you expect.
It's Anthony Dodd Mantle.
Thank you, Anthony Dodd Mantle. That guy's a fucking genius.
Yeah,
and I'm so glad they're still working together.
Have you seen the fucking iPhone array he's got?
I mean, anyone who wants, they shot a bunch of stuff on like a panel of iPhones.
Yeah.
It's worth the deep dive, folks. There are great YouTube videos on this, show you how they use these iPhones to make some stuff. Anyway, moving on very quickly. I'll just say F1 is fun. It is absolutely worth, I think it's worth the hype. I think it's definitely worth getting in the theater. Oh my God, the sound design and what they do with the races are great, but the story is good enough as well. I think some people might be thinking like, is the story going to hold up? Like, where's the emotion of this? It's a very, very simple sports story, but it holds. So it's worth getting in the theater. You're going to have a good time.
So it's Major League.
Enjoy it. I'm seeing it twice for sure.
I'm seeing it Thursday in the large IMAX, the big format at Lincoln
Square. Good for you, dude.
I can't wait.
I saw it in Dolby. And it was still awesome. I am going to try to go see it in the giant IMAX as well.
I want to know how the marketing works for this. So there is $250 million budget, and they're really just trying to crack $500 million. And I thought the idea is it's got to be like 3 or 4x because of marketing costs, and then you got to split the cost of the distributors and the exhibitors and et cetera. But I was in Milan and the Fashion Week was there, and I'm telling you, Brad Pitt's fucking face was everywhere, but it wasn't just for the movie. It was all bundled with products. So it was like in like the NFL, they'll be like, this is the official beer of the NFL. This is the official jockstrap of the NFL. They basically have that with this movie where they're like, this is the watch of the F1 movie as seen on Brad Pitt. This is the hat that he wears, the sunglasses, like every single product was. So I wonder if they just use that to chop away at their butt. I wonder how they structure it. I'm very curious to know that because that $250 budget, is it in that, or is it in the marketing costs that they knock everything down? I don't know how it works, but man, the product placement all over fucking Milan with Brad Pitt was wild.
They should, dude. It's time for Apple, when they're proud of their products like this, and they should be proud of this one for sure. It's time for them to lean into that incredible synergy and integration that is right there in front of them.
Right.
Like,
I also wonder if F1 just gave them marketing money.
Fandango.
F1 probably guaranteed them a certain level of marketing. They'd rent out Times Square for the movie. I wonder if F1 did that because all the drivers
Guys,
were there.
I'm not spoiling anything, but anyone who followed last season of Drive to Survive kind of knows. You won't be surprised at some of the footage in F1 because these guys are just so comfortable in front of cameras, and clearly they snuck the F1 movie crew into the Netflix crew as well sometimes. So like there's just cameras everywhere, and you can't really tell, oh, was that race actually on Drive to Survive? Well, of course it is. Was that moment actually real? Did they recreate that for the movie? It's fun. You're not totally sure. It feels like it's just authentic and real, except for, of course, he wasn't actually driving in the middle of the actual races. They had to create some magic around that. But it's fun if you're also a fan of F1 and if you're also a fan of Drive to Survive, the way they integrate the Netflix documentary kind of feel with how Brad Pitt just exists in that world as a driver. It's good. It's good. I can't wait to see it again. That was fun.
Hell yeah. And Joe Kosinski's first phone call was to Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, should be 9 or 10.
Producer on the movie, Lewis Hamilton,
course,
apparently pretty involved. Not
First
just an exec, like a producer.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Okay.
All right.
You ready to? We could do gripes. Dave, you want to gripe about anything?
I don't have a gripe.
John?
America's perfect right now. I feel there's nothing to complain about at all. We're in great shape.
Okay, my gripe's quick and it's about that. My gripe's very quick and it's about that. Go ahead. 1 minute gripe timer. Let's go.
Going.
Fuck American food. Guys, I was in Italy for almost 2 full weeks. I had risotto, 2 servings with pasta, with chicken, with dessert. The next day, 2 servings of lasagna with salad, with meat wrapped in ham, wrapped in cheese. I would wake up the next day feeling fucking fine. I went to Tuscany for 4 days. We did like multiple wine tastings a day. So I'm having cheese, bread with every single meal. So much bread. In America, we don't have bread anymore, right? It makes you fat. So much bread, so much cheese, prosciutto, melon, while I'm drinking, olives, whatever the fuck. Multiple wine tastings a day, 9:30 in the morning sometimes. And I was fine. I didn't feel bloated. I didn't feel sick. I was regular, like totally wine. And then I woke up the next day. Never had a hangover. Never had a headache. Drinking wine all night. Eating bread all night. Never had any gross feeling. I come back to America. I feel disgusting right now for 2 days back.
And like immediately. Inflamed immediately. Yeah, dude. I know. God bless Italy. All right.
Okay. You ready to talk about 1948?
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Okay. We like to start with the box office. Whenever we go back this far, I got to do Wikipedia. They're the only ones shameless enough to pretend like they know how much money anybody made at this time period.
So
box office
thank you for discounting that because Wikipedia is about 98% true.
Yeah, of course. But we're going to go ahead and go with Wikipedia here. So let's start with the box office. Fellas, what was the highest grossing movie of 1948 according to Wikipedia?
Oh my gosh, where do you even begin to guess this? None
Probably
of these are
the wrong answer.
Monsters. Yeah. I'll give you a really ridiculous guess. Okay, how about this?
Go ahead.
Bicycle Thieves.
Oh, Bicycle Thieves is so good. No.
It's it's an absolute masterpiece on the top 10 for so many people. Not the highest grossing movie of 1948. How about Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein? That might actually be it. Or
that would be really fun. That would be fun. Okay, no. According to Wikipedia, the number one highest grossing movie at $5 million in domestic rentals was The Red Shoes.
Oh, yes.
Red Shoes.
I knew this. Damn it. I forgot it was 48.
Dave, fuck, man.
How did you know that?
It has been
Red Shoes. Red Shoes is well known.
It is well known. It's a fucking great movie.
It was distributed by General Film.
You know it's well known if it's an old movie and I know it.
That's true.
I was going to say, how do you know? Have you seen it?
Jeez. So okay. Number 2 is Red River from United Artists at $4.5 million. Just beating out The Paleface. That sounds risky. I don't know what it's about, but I'm not going to click on it.
Paleface is fine. Apparently, it's the other one.
Number 4 is Johnny Belinda. More about that in a second when we get to some awards chatter. Number 5 is Easter Parade. And to round out the rest of the top 10, you have The Three Musketeers, The Snake Pit, The Emperor Waltz, Homecoming, and Sitting Pretty. So I think we just lost our crowd of people who were listening casually to this episode. I want to shout out one more movie though that sounds really fun. This is John Ford's Three Godfathers, which stars John Wayne, Pedro Armendáriz and Harry Carey Jr. It's based on the 1913 novella, loosely based on the telling of the three biblical wise men, but set in the American West.
Oh my God.
It's a remake of a black and white 1929 movie, Hell's Heroes. There are so many words in the plot that I don't even know. First of all, it's about three rustlers. They ride into Welcome, Arizona. They have a friendly conversation with Sheriff Buck Sweet. Let's see, what are some other good ones? They rob a railroad tank. There's a granite sump at the edge of the desert. I'm like reading this, I'm reading a different language. But the three godfathers, John Wayne, I want to shout out. A little bit of news here. The Supreme Court of the United States decided that in United States versus Paramount Pictures, Inc., the practice of block booking and ownership of theater chains by film studios constituted anti-competitive and monopolistic trade practices. So Paramount Pictures could not own all of the studios or all of the film distributors.
I was going to say, isn't that the thing they just decided they could again?
Fucking hell, this big,
Which I'm literally listening to a book on this right now, just to give that some context, because this is so amazing. That was Paramount that was used as an example that set a precedent to break up the trust of all the major movie studios. The Department of Justice had been investigating this since 1921, which means that the entire golden age of Hollywood, as we know it, was an illegal operation.
Yes.
According to the United States Justice Department.
Yeah, they just hadn't decided it yet.
I mean, for many reasons.
They just hadn't proven it in court yet.
Money-making stars Bing Crosby, Betty Grable, Abbott and Costello, Gary Cooper, Bob Hope, etc. Bob Hope would host the Oscars. About the Oscars here, I think the big story is that this is the 21st Oscars and the first time a non-Hollywood film won Best Picture.
Oh,
that would be. This is, of course, by the way, the film year in 1948, the Oscars in 1949. Laurence Olivier's Hamlet would win Best Picture. Is a British film, of course. And
he directed it too, didn't he?
He did direct it. And he would win Best Actor. That was his only Oscar and the only person to win that Academy Award for Hamlet, because Mel Gibson was not going to win. And Best Director.
Ethan Hawke,
Hamlet.
Who else?
Is that
Who
pretty
else
good?
did Hamlet?
Oh, I have no idea. Best Director would also be the same person who would win Best Screenplay, or what we would now call a Best Adapted Screenplay, which is, of course, John Huston for The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, which we'll talk about. But he was not the only Huston to win that night. That's right. His father would win Best Supporting Actor.
They cleaned up. The Hustons cleaned up.
Film. The Hustons would win
And
3 out of the
screenplay,
4. Yeah. So 3 out of the 4 Oscars that our movie was nominated for, but we'll talk about that later. Humphrey Bogart was not nominated and has since been considered one of the greatest slights in Academy history. He would go on to win for The African Queen in 1951, his only Oscar. Joan of Arc set a record by receiving 7 nominations without being nominated for Best Picture. That would be tied and broken later. Let's see, what else do I see in here? Johnny Belinda was the 4th film to receive nominations in all 4 acting categories. The winner for Best Actress was Jane Wyman for Johnny Belinda, who did not have a word of dialogue because she played a deaf character. She would win Best Leading Actress in a Film in 1948. I think that's pretty cool. The other acting category would go to Claire Trevor for Key Largo. And yeah, that's all I want to say about that. Any other movies you guys want to shout out?
Nope.
Johnny Belinda also had most losses. It was nominated for 12 Oscars and lost 11 of them.
12,
That has since been tied by The Color Purple, The Power of the Dog, Amelia Perez, which would go 2 for 13 but lost 11, and Beckett.
Damn.
So yeah, Johnny Belinda, 11
God
losses. Okay,
damn, wow.
What other movies?
Well,
you
I wasn't kidding. Bicycle Thieves is really a masterpiece, and it's worth watching. Considered one of the early post-war, like really Italian New Wave realism films. Really, really beautiful. Rope, Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, that's
gave
a good
us
one.
The Winner, and everybody's been fucking copycatting that motherfucker for decades and decades.
Technically, it was a tour.
Sure, yeah. Well, at least. Oh, it's way more than that, right? They only had 10-minute reel films, didn't they?
No, it was a long reel. There's, I think it's this one is where they zoom in on
30,000 foot reel.
Yeah, something like that. But when they zoom in on the trunk is the only time it's cut, apparently.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Dave's also other favorite movie from this year is a fucking masterpiece, The Red Shoes. Maybe the best backstage movie of all. I mean, it's unbelievable. One of the directors was married to Shoemaker. What's the editor that worked with Scorsese for so long? She was married to Michael
Schumacher?
Powell Pressburger. One of them.
Michael Schumacher, who drove for Ferrari.
It's Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger. And I think she was married to Michael Powell. Anyway, God, there were so many. The Naked City, Key Largo, I'm glad you called it out. Fucking amazing. Drunken Angel. And there was one more I just wanted to mention, but that's okay. We can move on. So many good ones, considering what was happening in Hollywood at the time when we were beginning to start talking about communism, and the Un-American Activities Committee was starting to have an enormous effect. I can't remember if they had already literally called people to Washington yet, but that shit was happening. The trust conversation was happening, even though it finally got proven this year. Like, there was a whole like fulcrum movement on the apparatus of what Hollywood movies were at the time, and yet they still churned out some interesting ones, some really great ones. And we're about to talk to one that broke new ground in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Okay. They Live by Night. Sorry, that was the other one I wanted to mention. They Live by Night. Also a good noir. Okay, let's go.
All right. The world population in 1948, here's the segue into our world news, world facts, was 2.5 billion. Amazing how we tripled that.
That was much better.
A lot of time.
Everybody stopped fucking.
I'll never forget. Yeah, the New Yorker just had an article. People aren't having enough sex, and it's like, I think the planet's pretty happy about that.
Yeah, they have an agenda. So
at the end of Planet Earth, they're like, how many people can be sustained on this planet? And the guy was like, maybe 1 billion. Anyway, okay. The world population, 2.5 billion. The U.S. life expectancy, males 64 years, females 69.9 years. Tupperware parties became a thing. The first jukeboxes.
Tupperware parties became a thing in the 40s? Oh my God, they didn't stop until the 90s.
That's right, yeah. I'll have a Tupperware party. I fucking love Tupperware. Scientists at Bell Labs invented the transistor. And Dave, this is really important. A man was found dead on a beach in Adelaide, South Australia, and the words "Tuman should," torn from a book, were in a hidden pocket. The rest of the book was found in a nearby car with the mysterious code on a page only visible under UV light. The code and the identity of the man have never been solved.
Yep.
Whoa.
Did you know about this story?
I mean,
Dave,
that's probably the least seediest thing to happen in Adelaide. Like to happen in Adelaide. Like seriously, there's been
not
fucking,
including a crocodile.
There's been fucking serial killers. There's been a group called The Family that were locking people in freezers. All sorts of fucking things.
Oh, we've had some freezers.
There's a movie about that, right?
Yeah.
I think they did. It was The Bodies in the Bank that they did the movie on.
Anyway, the top 10 baby names of 1948. You guessed it. Both of yours are on it. You have Linda, Mary, Barbara, Patricia, and Susan. And for the gentlemen, you got James, Robert, John, William, and David. There you go, guys. We'll do the prices in a... No.
You don't have a biblical name, do you?
I don't think so. I also have two spellings, which is weird. Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated in 1948. I kind of forgot he was assassinated. Shot in the chest. There's actually two different tellings of the way he died. The one more likely one is... But anyway. A Diamond is Forever.
Was it by an angry father?
De Beers. No, it's not, but you can buzz yourself through that, Dave. A Diamond is Forever, which will, of course, become a famous song after that by De Beers. But a lot of people credit this ad that began in 1948 with making diamonds and engagements a thing. And I know that could have saved me a lot of money if De Beers didn't start this fucking slogan. Am I right, guys?
She's worth it.
100% right.
Yeah, another slogan. Don't speak in slogans.
100% light. It's the gesture. It's the gesture.
Yeah.
Time Magazine's Man of the Year is Harry S. Truman. The biggest pop artists include the Andrews Sisters, largely considered the #1 highest grossing and most popular group at the time in 1948. Buddy Clark, Nat King Cole, Perry Como, Bing Crosby, Ella Fitzgerald, Gordon McRae of the Rodgers and Hammerstein movie fame. Frank Sinatra did get going here. And also, for my Money Talks fans, Vic Damone. Vic Damone. President Truman raises the taxes to finance the Marshall Plan, which is also known as the European Recovery Program, where they provided aid to Western Europe following a devastated World War II. This is a plan, though, that is called investing in your friends and neighbors because they're going to buy your shit and stimulate your fucking economy. That's my way of describing this. They had no infrastructure, no money. How are we supposed to grow? You know what we could do? Make our friends really wealthy, and then they're going to buy our shit with the money that we gave them. Oh my God. It's amazing how the economy can work middle out, and you don't just give fucking money to yachts and stock buybacks and bullshit that's just going to be evaporated into the fucking cloud while people suffer and die. And I'm so fucking mad at Leonardo DiCaprio for going to that wedding. I'm really mad about him for doing that. Jeff Bezos represents everything that the climate movement is against. He exudes exuberance. He exudes exuberance. He has a space company for wealthy people. He doesn't want to pay taxes. He could easily solve world hunger by himself, and he doesn't. And Leo, the climate warrior, who used his Oscar speech to talk about the fucking climate and not being able to find snow, flies a private jet to his wedding. I'm really mad about this. I don't like this, Leo. That was a really bad look. No wonder his fucking hat was covering his face in the ugliest way I've ever seen. It was ugly, Leo.
I think he probably felt some shame, but kind of the enemies, close friends, you know.
Oh yeah. What do him and Bezos talk about besides having money? Huh? Okay.
He has a movie studio. He has two. So I mean, might need him.
He shouldn't. Okay. Let's see. What else?
I know.
The president.
Of course, you're right.
There was an executive order 9981 which ended racial segregation in the United States Armed Forces. I don't think it ended it anywhere else. But
racism solved. America.
Right. In McCollum versus Board of Education, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that religious instruction in public schools was unconstitutional. I think some people could relearn that lesson here.
Wow. Fuck yeah. Jesus.
A lot of companies were formed, but the Honda Motor Company was founded in Japan not long after World War II, so they got right back to work. That's pretty interesting. But also in 1948, the Soviet Union blockaded West Berlin. 1948 is when that blockade actually happened, which is funny because then all of the allies, the U.S. and Great Britain, started investing and giving money and gifts and everything to West Berlin. That was East Germany, right? And then West Germany just got all these gifts and memorabilia. So it really created a nice, fun, friendly divide for everybody living in Berlin at the time. Really cool. Columbia Records unveiled the 12-inch 33 1/3 LP, which meant for long playing, at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City. The LP allowed listeners to enjoy an unprecedented 25 minutes of music per side, compared to the previous standard on 78s of 4 minutes per side.
Wow,
that's a big difference. The American Broadcasting Company, or ABC, began broadcasting in its first affiliate in Philadelphia. The CBS Evening News premiered. It was anchored by Douglas Edwards. 2 million television sets were owned in American homes, including 720,000 in New York City alone. How about that?
That was the other existential threat to what was happening in Hollywood right now. So, giving context to this year, this was the first year that television was really felt as an enormous competitor because of personal home purchases.
Nice. All right, almost done here. I'm just going to do prices and then top food trends.
Butter and sugar sandwiches. I can't stop thinking about it. Not a day has gone by
butter
that I have not thought about that.
Good. The price of 2 pounds of charcoal briquettes, 39 cents. Apples, the Western wine sap variety of apples was 15 cents a pound. Armour Star bacon was 69 cents for a 1 pound package. Bananas, 11 cents a pound. Also another thing where is it our Treasury Secretary or some Trump appointee was talking about manufacturing in America and the need for tariffs. And somebody was like, we literally can't build bananas here. The banana was like a symbol for this movement, by the way. So there you go. Blueberries, 39 cents a pint. Bread, 14 cents for a 1 pound loaf. Not the good Italian shit, though. Cake, Virginia Lee brand, Angel Food was 45 cents a piece. Let's see. Any other good ones? Coca-Cola was 5 cents a bottle or 25 cents for a 6-bottle carton. Spam.
Damn.
Dave, your favorite, 47 cents for a 12-ounce can. Pork and beans, 2 16-ounce cans for 27 cents. And last but not least, an In-N-Out cheeseburger was only 30 cents.
Oh my God.
In-N-Out cheeseburger. Now your top food trends going from 10 to 1. Are you ready? Number 10, concentrated orange juice. Remember all that juice not from
I drank that when I was growing up. Yeah.
Concentrated orange juice. Number 10. Number 9, coleslaw.
Yeah.
Number 8, another returning champion here. Coconut cream pie. Number 8.
Delicious.
Number 7, chiffon cake.
That'd be chewy.
Chiffon cake.
I don't know.
Chiffon.
Number 6, Chicken a la King, a previous winner.
Yeah.
A previous number 1.
Multiple times.
Chicken a la King's coming
What
back.
is up with that
Number 6,
recipe?
Chicken a la King.
What the fuck?
It's got crack in it or something.
Number 5, a cheese, potato, and onion pie.
Interesting.
Oh,
pretty good.
First timer.
The
Number
Polish
4.
are in the head.
Number 4, Cheerios. Surprising. Cheerios up there, number 4.
It's good. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Number 3, Cape Cod Bay Brown Bread. Shit, that's hard to say. Cape Cod Bay Brown Bread comes in at number 3. Number 2, bread pudding. And number 1, the number 1 food trend in 1948, according to some website that I forgot. Betty Crocker's cake mixes. All of them together. Betty Crocker had a good year.
Sure.
Number 1
She
food
killed
trend
it.
of
Yeah.
1948. And if
Dude,
that doesn't
Betty!
scream
It's-
treasure of the Sierra Madre,
it's funny,
I don't know what does.
The show I did recently with for Candor and Ebb, where it was like all the songs that they composed. The one that brought the house down was the guy that came out singing about this thing that he loved, and it was Sarah Lee. It was a
Sarah
whole
Lee,
fucking
sure, yeah.
song about Sarah Lee, and
Sarah
it's
Lee.
hilarious.
I thought about that too when I first, Oh,
Really
yeah.
good.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So, you ready to talk about our movie?
yeah.
Yes, very much. Very excited.
All right. Well, Treasure of the Sierra Madre, $3 million budget, which was not something Jack Warner wanted.
No.
One of the first Hollywood movies to be filmed almost entirely outside of the U.S. until it went over budget and they made him fucking fly back and film as much as they could inside a
Oh my
nice,
God.
warm, cozy studio.
Yeah, I was going to say, there were 20 shooting locations for this thing.
Yeah, it definitely went over,
God
definitely
damn.
went late. And apparently poor little Humphrey Bogart missed his boat race that he does every year. He also was going bald during this. How about that? So anyway, we talked about it before. John Huston.
What's wrong
I think
with
that the story of the writer,
Yeah.
Travern is the person's name, but that is definitely a pseudonym and nobody knows who he is. He lived in secrecy in Mexico. And when the film crew decided to hire one of his close personal friends to come be an associate on set, which helped lend authenticity to the language, especially the Mexican language, but also the gold mining and the way people did things, people really believed it was the person who wrote the book, but refused to ever admit it. We'll never know. We'll never know.
Yeah, he kept referring to himself as I, or kept referring to
Yeah,
I instead of he.
that's the story. He kept
Stuff,
messing
yeah.
up instead of talking about it. Yeah, so they believe he was a total ringer for himself. John Huston, though, would do the adaptation after years of people having the script and trying to adapt it. He finally got the rights to do it, especially after the success of his first film, The Maltese Falcon, in 1941. Jack Warner knew he could trust him, so I think around 1945 he was given the rights to write the
Oh,
screenplay.
Jeff Warner thought he could trust him.
Thought he
Then he saw the budget.
Okay. Like always, I read the IMDb description, and then I pass it around the horn for what you think. Dave and I were new to this, so we'll probably start. John's going to come in with his thoughts here. Treasure of the Sierra Madre, or Madre Sierra, the of the treasure. Two down on their luck Americans searching for work in 1920s Mexico convince an old prospector to help them mine for gold in the Sierra Madre Mountains. No stuffy criticism, guys. What'd you think? What'd you feel? Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Dave?
Is it just me, or does he start this movie complaining that he can't come to Mexico and take their jobs? For real, it's like,
But he's
I can
just
do
like
this.
a beggar.
Yeah, it's like I can do this and I can do this, but if I sit down and shine people's shoes, oh, I'm in trouble.
It's hard to get work down there.
But I will say, like, every good movie needs a compelling intro, and this one is very easy to get into.
Yeah.
It sets them up nicely and then just carries you on an adventure, which is what people go into the movies for.
The Max Steiner score was awesome too.
Yes, yeah.
You got to give us more, Dave. What did you? You had an adventure. What did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it. Although I must admit, it did get a little slow in the second act, or second half, sorry.
Nice.
Yeah.
When
And
they're
I
actually
kind of
getting-
got sick of that guy just losing his shit constantly.
Is that guy Humphrey Bogart?
Okay.
or-
That guy's Humphrey Bogart, yes. Cobb just kept losing his shit dramatically, and I'm just like, somebody just fucking shoot him.
His name is Dobbs, but it does
Dobbs,
sound
whatever.
like Cobb. That's
Yeah.
It's interesting. It is C. Dobbs, Fred C. Dobbs. So Cobbs. I get that's a good abbreviation there. What about how
Okay,
much
yeah,
tanner
duck.
he got throughout the film? I feel like they tanned him throughout the film, or he was just filming in Mexico so long he just became a different color by the end of the movie. Yeah, I really like this movie. I think I have to agree with you, Dave. I feel like I wonder if this is because apparently this didn't do well when it first was released, and then it did well over time, you know. And I think they knew that Warner knew that it was a good movie when they were releasing it, but it just had trouble finding an audience, so it ended up making its money back over like what we would call the re-releases, I guess, like 1951. Maybe Humphrey Bogart did well with
the thing,
African
like,
Queen, and they just would re-release it in theaters all over the country.
It's like, because again, this has the dialogue delivery I normally don't like, and a lot of things that normally would rub me the wrong way about an old film. But I think the pacing in this rescues it a lot until you get into the second half of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I watch it again, I'm going to get even more into the psychology and the psychosis, which I did for this time too. It seemed way simpler. I was expecting an epic. I was expecting to hear more Wagner.
It was a small story crammed into an epic location, I think.
Yeah. So I feel like the epic scale is in the themes, you know, the greed, the lack of trust,
greed and paranoia whenever you have money involved. Right. Yeah.
Well, I also love that in the title, it's the treasure of the Sierra Madre, because they seem like they're business people. You know, they kind of seem like they're entrepreneurial and they want to make their living and they make their money, but they're fucking hunting treasure, man. They're pirates. They want it so bad. And I was getting into that. There were certain scenes, certain sections where I was really into that. And I really liked the demises that were happening here. But my expectations were just more grandiose, not belittling the movie in any way, shape, or form. I just was expecting more sweeping landscapes and scales. I knew this that There Will Be Blood pulled, like, this was one of the biggest influences, because Paul Thomas Anderson would apparently watch it a lot, you know, to really get into the greed of the character and such. But it's amazing. I feel like I need to watch it again, and I bought it, so I will. I bought it on Amazon.
I mean, it was only $1 more to buy. Yeah.
It was a couple dollars more for Amazon. Maybe it was different on Apple, but it was $4.99 and $8.99, and I was like, well, it's two rentals.
Oh, it was $3.99 and $4.99 on Apple.
On what? Oh, motherfucker!
$4.99 on Apple. Yeah.
Come on. Well, I had a problem because I was doing this in Italy, and certain things weren't, like, I didn't have Max or Hulu, so I couldn't watch The Bear in Italy because they didn't have it. They didn't have fucking Max. I was pissed. So I didn't even look at Apple. Fucking hell. Damn it. Could have saved $3. Okay, John, what'd you think?
I love it. I absolutely adore this movie. I feel like you guys, I know what you're saying, and I guess the psychology thing is where the epicness comes from. Like, and they lay out an exposition so well with Walter Huston's introductory scene that you know what you're going to be seeing, which is always fun. Like when you have suspense like lined up for you, like it was really teed up. He literally tells you in that scene, and then Humphrey, if it's not clear by Humphrey's response to him in real time at the end of that scene, then the next scene is literally like him saying, like, what'd you think about what that guy said the other night? And they're literally telling you, this is what we're going to do, and you already know what's going to happen. I think there's an argument that this movie is technically like the grandfather of the new Hollywood movies. It's on location.
Right.
And there's so much, and John Huston gets a lot of credit for this just in terms of like the actual directing, but there's so much realism that is very unlike the heightened, fanciful Hollywood storytelling of the time. Even some of the more grittier noirs that had, you know, like lower budgets, of course, there's a dreamlike presentation to them, which is why if you love old Hollywood movies, that's something you're kind of looking for. This does not have that, in my opinion.
I mean, I haven't seen many Bogart films, but I've never seen him play such an asshole.
Dude, the performances are, and we can just have,
which apparently
let's talk about those in a little bit.
Was apparently the inspiration for Indiana Jones too. So,
yeah,
I'm sure. I mean, this movie has inspired so many people because I think it's a masterpiece.
Right.
I think every element of it kind of broke the mold. People hadn't seen something shot like this, acted like this in the same way before. I'm not saying that there weren't obviously other great, tons and hundreds of great movies and performances that came before, but there was something different about this. And I think that actually played into why it didn't do very well. I think it was ahead of its time. Some things that stand out to me every time I watch this that make it feel like a more contemporary movie than it is. The hair and makeup is so authentic. They are so gross and ratty and sweaty and tanned and dirty and disgusting throughout this movie from the beginning, even before they start digging. that it feels not Hollywood to me. The
Right.
performances are so grounded, and I think that plays into the location shooting. It didn't just, all three of them, the core of three, are fantastic. So, like, on their own, of course, those guys are amazing actors. Something happened to them on location with this movie.
Right.
The way they talk to each other, the way they relate, the behavior, the way that they didn't always play everything to camera. There are just so many scenes that you could point out where you're like, that does not feel like a movie from the 40s. It feels like a movie from the 60s or the 70s. And I guess the final thing is just the darkness of the themes, which again is very 1970s Hollywood to me. It's very new Hollywood. It's so cynical. The idea that this is inevitable in all men, and we can literally say men, because this movie is also famous for not having any female speaking parts. They literally, it is a masculine-driven movie, and it isn't a tragedy. So I think think about this, put that time capsule hat on, and think about 1948. You're reflecting on the war. A lot of people lost people during the war. There's an America to look forward to that Americans in 1948 don't know exists yet. The 50s haven't come yet. Yeah, I mean, people were struggling to try to find their footing again. And a movie comes out that basically says it might not get any better because men aren't any better. And I just feel like the courage of that, it blows me away every single fucking time. And it is by far, without a doubt, Walter Huston is amazing in every movie he's ever made. But this movie is definitely my favorite movie of all three of these actors.
I mean, he was an absolute standout.
It is my favorite, Humphrey. It is, Walter Huston is like from another planet on this movie. I can't believe that a film camera, his son's camera, captured a performance that realistic, playing a character, because Walter Huston is a leading man in most of his films. He's not some bumbling old guy in most of his films. He's a suave, put together, aristocratic leading man in most of his career. And then he churns this motherfucker out at the end of his, I mean, it's amazing.
And wins an Oscar for supporting actor.
Yeah.
As he should. As he should. It's like, I didn't even, the first time I saw this, I had seen other movies with Walter Huston in it, and I didn't know that was Walter Huston. And I was like, who is this guy they just pulled into the movie to just be a part of this production?
Jeff, did you read the practical joke they played on him?
Well, there were a lot of practical jokes that they played.
But the one with the stew?
Oh yeah,
that was on the third guy, right?
We had it was. I think it was on
the fourth guy.
I think it was actually on. It was on the other guy.
Was it on Walter?
I thought
it was on Walter.
It was on the Cody.
Okay.
I thought it was on Cody, the fourth man who came eventually.
And they said he was very hungry, and they made him do the take over and over again, but they made him eat it for real, and so he was just getting stuffed by the end.
Yeah, but the cameras weren't even rolling for the other takes.
So good. I did
really fantastic.
But back to Walter Huston. He has a quote because he's a theater actor first. Like he came from the theater, and then and then he moved on to Hollywood, and had a big family and stuff. I mean, he had John Huston when he was 23 or whatever. Being a theater actor raising a kid when you're 23 is tough, let alone the rest. And he basically said what we now know, and a lot of people credit Brando and a lot of other people about this kind of stuff, but he said things, we of course, Brando wasn't the first, Picasso wasn't the first person to paint, in an abstract way. Like, it's just, there's always people that have been innovating before the internet, Elvis, et cetera. He said something along the lines of, I realized with the camera, I had to use my body in film, in stage so much. And then when it came to the film, the less I did, the more powerful it was. Like, basically, like the simple idea that everybody needs to find. His point of view is so strong in this. He really is. It's that thing where it doesn't seem like he's doing anything. Like, the actor isn't doing anything. It's like one of those things.
Literally, yeah.
But it's just so locked in. The way he's like in those first scenes in that little like hotel or whatever, when he's talking about how he had money and he lost it and it's all fine. The way he's just like looking, and you can't. Film classes will say, look over here and smile and do this. But he's just doing it so naturally, and just, you can see he's seeing his life and he's at peace with it. And it's just so dropped in.
I want to say that.
Credit to,
I just want to say, when that one section where he's laughing and dancing at him, he starts dancing. I was wondering, was that the inspiration for the prospector in Toy Story?
Oh,
very possible.
That's interesting.
You're talking about the scene specifically when they find the gold, when he's like, "You're fucking too stupid to realize."
Yeah.
But I got Toy Story prospector vibes off him in that scene.
That's so good. I mean, probably.
Is there a more famous prospector role? I don't think so. Yeah. Jeff, to your point, like, it just blows me away every time. I think it's not just that Walter was making choices like that, which I do think bled into his co-stars. I felt like they were doing things you don't see them do in other movies.
They were admiring him.
And they both made a lot of movies. you also have John behind the camera saying to himself, I guess, like, yeah, it's okay. I don't need to see your eyes all the time.
Yeah.
I don't need to see these perfect close-ups. Like, whatever my father is doing is so real. And we're in this actual location. Like, this feels like it's not that it's supposed to feel like a documentary. There's a lot of formalism to the cinematography, but the acting felt like it was the opposite of so much of the kind of acting that people were doing in that day. And I don't know, I feel like there's a very strong reason, and I think there's a super true through line between this movie and then Bonnie and Clyde, The Graduate, the beginning of the New Hollywood movement. It is, I don't know, it is amazing to me that this movie did not make more money than it did. When you think back just about how successful it is in terms of its quality, it is not surprising at all to me that it struggled in the time it was released, dealing with the themes of its day, dealing with the way it was presented.
Did this win for cinematography as well?
No.
Well, that's a fucking tragedy because, like,
just
the framing on this is wonderful. There's not a single, I can't fault a single shot in this whole movie.
I know, it's so good, dude.
Which is unheard of for that time period.
Staticness. It's just, and it's on location.
And it's outside.
Most of it.
Literally on location.
Right? I mean, they're using the sun for most of their lighting, especially in that kind of place. And it's so, again, realism, right? Realism for me, they're not blowing out the background like crazy. There's not like, it felt like it was supposed to be authentic. It felt like you were supposed to just be there with them. And there's something, and yet there is a formalism to it. I cannot get enough of this. I just feel like it's so fantastic. We have a director cameo. Did you guys catch it?
Of course, the man in the white suit. I mean, it was so obvious. He was just, I was like, yep, that is the guy from Chinatown, 30 years younger, for sure. Yeah, and then when you see him,
so what else?
That was actually, and that was great. I feel like back to your point about with the time that it came out. And first of all, I don't know if people were ready to see a dirtied up film yet, unless it was biblical, unless it was swords and sandals or something like that. But to see a good Humphrey Bogart, like, no, they wanted to see him in suits. They wanted to see him succeeding. Like, that was just where people's psyche probably was. So to see them get dirtier and dirtier and get poorer and poorer and get farther away from the promise, you know, and to divulge in the possibility of exuberance, to take a word from before, I feel like people probably weren't ready for it, but that's just a guess. But no, okay, I was just looking this up, Dave, of who won cinematography this year. It was The Naked City. But this movie wasn't even nominated. It wasn't even nominated. It's weird. The studio system was weird too. Like, Bogart not being nominated was weird. But like, yeah, it wasn't even nominated for best cinematography.
There might have been a push for color at that point.
Joan of Arc would win for color.
Sure.
There were separate categories. I forgot to say this. This is the first year of the costume design award. No, they didn't care about costumes for the first 20 years. But like cinematography and like art direction, they had black and white and color in separate categories. So Joan of Arc would win for color. Naked City.
We've talked about this before a few times about the came up with Psycho, and it came up with No Country a few weeks ago. And I would put this film in this category of, it's a, what word did I use when I was talking about those? It's a process film. You're watching a very simple behavior or an act, like, oh, we're prospecting for gold. And it ends up taking most of the movie to just watch them going through that in a little bit of a tedious way. Every conversation that's had is not necessarily revealing new information. The process and the repetitive conversations reveal more deconstruction and construction of characters, which is like, in this movie, and I feel like I want to give a lot of credit to John Huston, because I don't know what happened in the book. I'm sure these characters still had these perspectives, but it's so clear on the screenplay page that one of these people was going to be deconstructed. One of them was the wise man, and one of them was going to be constructed. So Timothy Holt's character, the good one, is going to be made better by what is happening to them. Obviously, Humphrey Bogart is going to be made worse. We're going to watch him decline. And Walter Huston's character is kind of a constant. He's a prophet. He's like the prophetic wise person who has already been here before and is basically just teaching them and hoping to benefit from it. And I feel like I kept asking myself this whole time when I was watching it, this rewatch, this is a straight drama for sure. It's not a thriller. I know I made that comment about how suspense is created by telling you in exposition literally what's going to happen. But I do feel like this is a drama. And
There are certain places that listed as a drama tragedy.
A drama tragedy, sure. Yeah, I mean, it is very tragic. I just feel like it is a testament to your understanding of structure and to performance. For you to be able to take something that is so process-driven, and I don't want to harp on it too much, refer to our No Country episode, and you'll kind of see how they subverted structure a little bit. But the characters are who they are at the beginning as they are at the end, in a real sense. Bogey, I think that character is so interesting because there is a moment in the beginning when he says that he would not be who he is. But I think at the beginning, you already feel very confident that this man does not have enough character to overcome his flaws. And I just feel like I'm very fascinated by when movies start a character in one place and they basically end them. Yes, they are in a different place, but they're the same person. They can't escape themselves in the movie. You know what I mean?
When they set that's what I meant to say before when I got off on the cinematography thing. They set it up so well with so the John Huston cameo is not just a cameo, and I'm glad that he did it for himself because he's the man in the white suit. But he sets up Bogey's character more than you realize because on the surface, he's just a humble beggar who's like, he says the same line to every single person, like, hey, help a fellow American have a more meal or whatever it is to get the thing. And finally, John Huston's like, you've said this to me 3 times. Basically, it'd be like, what's now you're just being stupid. Like now you're basically you're a narcissist. You're whatever, you can fill in the blank. Obviously, I'm reaching a little bit, but it's like, how did you? I'm in a fucking white suit with a white hat in the middle of this random city in Mexico, and you didn't even notice that you've asked me for money 3 times in the past day? Like, what is wrong with you, man? And it's like, lace up your boots. And instead he says, I'm going to go oil prospecting. I'm going to steal from my friends. It's like, yeah, the tragic flaw is that it was there the whole time.
Well, it's
so I think that's why I want to rewatch these movies, because I think those things are going to affect me even more.
In that first section, too, you get little shadows of, like, how this is going to go. You know exactly who you're going into the desert with by the time they hit the desert.
Yeah.
Like, the characters, the roles are established.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you ever
His
doubt
vanity with the haircut?
Yep.
Oh, my God.
These in the way he spends his money, and of course, you're
the Pirelli haircut.
Nowadays, I think you're trying not to judge. Yeah, you're trying not to judge these people in a certain sense because, like, they do a good job of, like, from the jump, they're kind of daring you to judge him because he is a beggar. I mean, he's poor. Yeah. You don't know how he got there, and that's not really the story, right? It doesn't matter how he got there. You're just watching this person who can barely get by, and then he teams up with a good person who also can barely get by.
It's set in the 1920s. We know how he got there.
Yeah, sure. Well, and I'm glad they give him the subplot of getting screwed over by the guy when they do the manual labor and they beat the shit out of him. And
that is the one line that doesn't age well. When they find him in the bar, it's like, let's get him hard. I'm like, don't do that.
Oh, come on. Can we pause right here for a second? Another piece of
waiting all episode to say that.
Guys, the realism, that is one of the greatest fight scenes from an older movie I've ever seen. I cannot believe how believable it is, especially the wide shot.
Stuff, yeah.
I mean, just so the choreography is just so realistic.
When they get into it,
when they cut to the wide, you can clearly see it's a stunt double.
No.
It doesn't matter to me. I don't give a shit. That guy, whoever the stunt double was throwing himself around so believably, especially those last few hits.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those where, okay, Dave, I know what you're saying, but I still feel like in a time when it was more of the dream factory, these black and white older films where you knew you were suspending your belief for everything, that fight scene felt more authentic to me in terms of staging and really staging.
Yeah.
Like, I just felt like the believability of how long it took to actually win. You weren't.
I let that go because, like, in the 1940s, that sort of thing was commonplace and no one would notice. Like, you didn't look for that.
Yeah, maybe they did notice. It just didn't bother them at all. Like, they were so used to seeing. Yeah. But I was so surprised by that. And that scene is super important because everything we're talking about right now before
they didn't take his money.
That comment.
Dude, all of this is so interesting. They didn't take the money.
Yeah, that was a good thing.
All of his money.
Well, that whole discussion about I wouldn't get more than I needed from before. Yes. It would have countermanded that whole thing.
So even though, he's the person who can't escape himself, but they do a good enough job at the beginning of showing you the ambiguity of his character, and I mean, like, his constitution.
Well, that's the thing. They have to hold it there so he has a place to fall. Mm-hmm. Like, if he'd just taken all of his money, you're like, I'm expecting
nobody's just bad.
I'm expecting shit from this guy. Yes, but if they hold up that I'm only going to take what I'm owed, he has a code. He has a place to fall.
And it also spits in the, Walter Houston scene had already happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was the last thing that happened before they went on. Yeah.
So Walter made it very clear, and I'm sure it's just such an obvious expository scene, even though it's very well done and you weren't bored by the exposition, that he makes it clear that, no, I'm not saying that bad men are prospectors. I'm saying gold does this to all men.
Yeah.
It will do it to everyone. It will affect every single person who comes across it. It doesn't matter who you are. And it's so good. The structure of that whole first act in that city is incredible. It's perfect. It's a masterclass in exposition and setting up characters into an act 2 where you know exactly what the obstacle is going to be.
And that city was one of the locations, right? Because the depth in those shots was amazing.
Oh my God, dude! How did real extras in the background, even that shit in the courtyard and the bench scenes and that they kept coming back to, it was so authentic.
I was like, my eyes were going all over the fucking frame. I was just eating it up.
$American a day, which is a lot for people in a small town in Mexico at the time. So it worked okay. I think the other guy is probably so interesting because I feel like we're meant to be tested because Bogey is the lead of this movie, so you kind of see it more from his point of view, even though it's a 3-person tale. And also maybe because he's Humphrey Bogart, John Huston was able to play with that a little bit. That this other guy, I mean, how bucolic is this guy's speech about being a peach farmer? And it's like, dude, you're fucking gold mining and you're totally fine ripping peaches off the tree. Like, what are you doing out here? No, Daniel Plainview would eat you for fucking lunch. He wouldn't work with you. He's like, oh, I just want to go be a peach farmer now. I guess he needs to buy the land, but and the whole thing, it's like they make the audience a little suspicious of him. I was a little suspicious of him, even though I knew Bogey was probably the guy to trust less. But I think that was interesting. But then the highlight of the movie for me is the letter. Of course, and I think that it's good that they have, what's his name you said? You said his name. What's his name?
Timothy Holt.
Timothy Holt.
I think.
You had him read the letter, which is great. And it's just meaningful. Obviously it's like a little on the nose of this now deceased person who just wanted his way in and, you're suspicious and he dies pretty quickly. But I think it's good sometimes to, like you said before, it's like they told you what movie you were going to be watching. You knew right at the beginning. They're going treasure hunting. There's no surprise there. But it's okay to have this letter where they say, the best treasure of all is you. And it could be so cheesy, but God, there's something so powerful about it. But the best part about it is the second he stops reading it, Humphrey Bogart just rips it out of his hand and goes, well, fuck him. He knew the risk he was taking and he fucked up. And they're like, yeah, but what about her and the boys? He's like, I don't know them. That's not my fault. It's like immediately, all of a sudden, he was like a snake in a snake pit. It's wild.
Well, even the other guy got suspicious. Like that whole
should have left Humphrey Bogart right there.
Yeah, the tent scene where they're all going out and then someone, I'm going to go out and check now, and then where's he gone? I'll go out and check now. Like that was a really good tension build with the suspicion building, and you're like, where the fuck are they going with this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to affect everyone. How bad is it going to affect everyone?
Yeah.
You said it felt like a snake, and it made me think of another structural thing that amazes me about this movie. Your lead character is killed off 15 minutes before it's over.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And 2, thematically, you said the snake. This time, when his death, which is brutal,
I found that a little shocking.
Made me think of the scene with the monitor. The lizard that crawls under his rock. What is the name of that lizard?
The Gia monster?
Yeah.
The Gia monster.
And remember, Tim Holt makes that comment about when he's like, reach under there and get it out. Yeah. And he's talking to Walter Houston. He's, heckling Bogey and he's calling him yellow. And he says, I hear they won't unleash their grip even if you cut their head off.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying for sure that Bogey's decapitated, but he is killed with machetes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's off scene. And then what happens immediately after that is the gold is lost.
Yep.
And it did make me think God damn it. I didn't catch that the first time, but the second time I was thinking thematically, just the symbolism of his death did immediately yield a destruction of all of the things that they had earned, all of the gold, all of the hard work, 10 months of labor, because he played that whole situation leading up to that so wrong. He was the Gia monster holding on and refused to let go. And he was cut up to pieces with rusty machetes. I just felt that was like, man, God, that is fucking aces.
There's no walking away from that one. They made sure you like I found that quite shocking for 48. It was like I was like, fuck, he's gonna need a Tylenol.
And look at that. And how about that kid that gets hit, the redemption at the end where he spots, who is this fucking Gavroche? Where he's like, wait a second, these mules have that A, which is yours, sir. And he goes and like, how brilliant is that?
Gavroche.
It's fucking Gavroche. He's always
two good kid performances. That other kid was really sweet. That's a rough scene to watch where he throws the water in his face. He's picking up and the kid just won't stop.
How good is the Jungle Book scene, though, where you have the old man who's like, I have to go. First of all, the fact that they all break down the mountain. He's like, the mountain's been good to us. We have to bring, it's like, it's so great. Just leave the fucking mine shaft, whatever. But then you see him later and it's like he's in like one of the Jungle Book characters, like just sitting down, eating fucking cantaloupe, living his goddamn life. Like he doesn't even think about the gold. He's not even.
He breaks into bare necessities.
The bare necessities. Oh my God, so good.
That shot is just one shot.
Yeah.
And Walter Huston has like 30 different beats.
But then again, back to
he's like, can we do this again tomorrow?
But back to men, it's also like Walter Huston right then should have said, hey, Timothy Vaughn, just stay here. We have it made. You don't have a woman. Like, just stay here. Look at us. We're being treated so well. I have skills that we can die a nice death here. But he needs to go back after Bogey. He needs his redemption. He needs to do it. I guess get the gold. But he doesn't seem like he's missing it in that scene.
Oh, you're talking about Tim Holt when they're
Tim Holt. Sorry, I forget his name.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird, right? Like that whole thing. As soon as he comes back and he sees him beaten, battered, he's like, all right, we have to go back after them. And even they call them the Indians. The Indians go back. It's like I was like, man, is that another piece of symmetry? Because they laid it on thick that Walter Huston was having a blast in that town. And then he very quickly gets up and is like, we got to go. Multiple day ride. We got to go after Bogey.
Oh, I don't want to harp on him too much more, but it's not just a great actor who understood what to do with a great character, but the character is almost so wise that it's hard to ground people who have had that much life experience that are literally never wrong. He's never wrong once about anything. And he's in that moment, it's just the final example. I guess it's not. I mean, his laughing fit at the end about the actual humility of losing the stuff, and that's the final moment. But the turn you're talking about is a dramatic turn where you realize he has so little judgment for man that he's willing to put himself and others in more tempestuous situations because he is lacking in judgment. Yeah. And I just unbelievable. I mean, to ask somebody to actually do that, but it's such a good character because there's always that kind of character is always going to lead other characters into action. They're going to need someone like that to like go with them and actually make something happen because he was such a facilitator. He was the wise one. He had the resources. He had the knowledge. What did you think of that last scene where he has his laughing fit and it's the real climax and nature played a joke on us and it's just a kind of a hysterical, euphoric, oh my God, we lost everything. Isn't that hilarious?
Even that was a little tense because you're like, is he going to laugh with him or is this where going to be where he snaps?
Yeah.
Long laughs are awkward.
Yeah.
Always. And this is the second one in the movie because the dancing one is a little awkward too, especially when they show you the other two guys not laughing. Because they don't see the goal. They don't know what's going on with the dance. It's weird. It's kind of...
Bogey has one too. After he kills him.
Yeah. Yep.
After he thinks he kills Tim. Yeah.
I mean, Bogey going back and forth and it's like, just go back and shoot him again. It's like, anyway, that whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's maniacal. Like the laugh.
The Zombieland double tap.
Nature played a trick on us. I feel like that's the boldest thing that Huston did in this movie. He did a lot of bold things, but I feel like apparently Jack Warner hated the ending. I don't even know if it had to be Hollywood. I think they just needed it to be more definitive. But it's like, obviously the gold is gone. But why are they behaving like that? Why are they? I mean, it's weird. It's
Jeff Warner hated it because they lost the gold.
But it would make sense. If they just lost the gold and it ended like Seven Samurai, I would get it. But instead it was Or and like the the beggars and like the crying and and like oh we're doomed, but no, it was like they just started fucking laughing in the weirdest way.
Hmm.
I don't know, it was kind of haunting. Haunting is the
Yeah,
word.
I mean,
A little bit.
Again, it goes back to me to. I don't think you think about it when you're watching Walter Houston's character the first time, because he seems almost like a little crazy. And oh yeah, this guy just laughs whenever he thinks something is insane. But I feel like what that character actually symbolizes culturally and thematically at the time when this movie was made was that if you think that this is something, you can't take it with you, folks. Like,
Yeah.
this is the universe, God, nature, whatever you believe in. That great line he says, whatever you believe in, playing a joke on us. And aren't we the fools? And you're either going to laugh about it or you're going to cry. You're either going to be a victim of the tragedy of life or you're going to enjoy it.
And greed is going to help you be a victim.
Yeah. Now, and it was easier for him to say when he's like worshipped like kind of like a god in that tribe that he was being absorbed into. But I also thought it was really poignant that he knew he was talking to Tim Holt and he advised him to, I think you want a different life and your life might exist in that place that man that we met came from, in a place where the harvest is going to come in soon and there is new opportunity. So I feel like this ending worked for me. And I don't know if they made him reshoot it with that speech in there, but that speech, that tiny 3-sentence speech that he gives to Tim Holt kind of made me feel like he was talking to America. I think in the greater speech of "We lost it all, isn't that funny?" he's talking to the world in a post-war society. You can't take any of this shit with you. Let's try to remember and kind of reassociate our ultimate values. But then I thought he was talking to Americans when he was saying to Tim Holt, go back to America and live that simple life. Try to just get what you can. And remember what that woman in the letter was saying, the wife of the guy who dies, is we already found the greatest treasure. We found love and we found the simple life. We have kids. We have a harvest to look forward to. We're not rich. It doesn't matter. So I just felt like the fucking plates they have spinning in that last sequence are much more than just a laughing fit. And each time you watch it, I think it becomes more clear. But I don't know. I still, God damn it, I wish we could travel in a time machine and see how it felt to watch something like this that is so cynical and so really asks a lot of his audience at a time when everybody, I think, was very thankful the war was over, but also scared about what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
The peach harvester picking peaches all day and then singing all night. It sounds like summer stock. I think talking about this film has made me weak as a newborn kitten. I don't have much else to say about it. I think it was a hit. This one was a hit.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't dare say it wasn't. I did enjoy it. Absolutely. And it's very well made.
Record? No, me too. I know it's a masterpiece, and it's not just because other people have told me that, but I also know it's like a book. You gotta sit with it, and you gotta talk about it, and you gotta see it again.
Yeah, I would love to hear you, if you ever rewatch it, bring it up on the podcast. Like, now that you know it's not that epic thing, and it's epic in here, set in a great place. I would love to hear your thoughts on rewatching it again, knowing it's actually a contained film.
I always thought the Flight of the Valkyrie was in Treasure of the Sierra Madre. What is it from? Remember they do it in Defy Bloods and it's referencing another. I thought it was referencing this.
I mean, it's in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
I guess it's just the apocalypse scene with the helicopters. I always thought it was in this too. All right. Good for Coppola. Whatever. Fuck everybody.
Good stuff. I'm really, really, really glad we watched it.
All right, friends. Well,
you're just hitting all the buttons.
Yeah, shut up. Wait. I was turning the buzzer off. Okay. Let's come to that part of the podcast where we got to look to next week. So Dave's going to spin the wheel. John, we're going to guess. We went from 1946 to 1948.
So, I think that was it. What was 50 something to 48?
Yeah, we did 2 old movies in a row. So let's see. You think we're going contemporary again? That's not exactly how it works because now we're starting from scratch. But what do you think?
97.
97, big year. Let's do Titanic. 1980. We already did 80 recently. 81.
Okay.
Here we go.
Let's go. Let's see. 1980.
80.
Oh, you should have stuck with
I just
it.
did. Oh, what the fuck was wrong with me? I thought we just did this. I thought we just did 1980.
It was a while back.
Damn it.
Did we?
Because I remember it being like, let's do Raging Bull. No, it must have been something else.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, what's wrong with me? Damn it, I almost had it. So arbitrary, means nothing. Okay. We're not going to sit here and Google movies, people. We're going to do that at the very end of the episode, and we're going to let you know right before we sign off what we're going to be talking about next week. But now we're going to go around the horn with what you've been watching. It's been 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks since we've seen each other. John, you've already talked about 2 movies, but Dave, we start with you anyway. What have you been watching?
All right, I'm going to keep it short. Did I tell you guys beforehand we watched The Accountant 2? Finally, it's on Prime
I don't know if you mentioned
now.
it, but did you like
Prime already?
I did like it.
It's been
Yeah,
like a month.
Yeah.
they really played up the buddy film thing, especially in that pub scene and
Nice.
shit. And yeah, we got a kick out of it. It's a feel good, violent film.
Yeah.
Like it's
Good. I liked it a lot.
yeah.
Good.
And also, I'm finally going back through all the old series that I haven't finished. Like I watched it to a point, and then we kind of stopped watching it as it's dropped off or something. So I'm finishing up Evil at the moment on Paramount Plus.
Evil.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's kind of like
Cool.
the X-Files, only they're investigators for the Catholic Church. And there's one guy.
Oh, cool.
One guy's a Muslim. She's a psychiatrist, and then the guy who used to be Luke Cage is the Catholic priest.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
And they investigate
Interesting. I
like
haven't seen it in a
demons,
minute.
and there's a really cool section at the start where it shows you what demon they're dealing with. It's like it puts down this book with like the pop-up book of demons, and it opens it to the page, and the pop-up book works in the scene. It's great. They must have so much fun making these things for
That's fun.
that shot.
Oh, that's fun.
But
Nice.
it's intense, and it's got why could I never remember no one's name? Did I? The guy who was the bad guy in Lost.
The
Terry
only one?
O'Quinn?
No, the other
Or
one.
Ben with the big eyes.
Oh, Michael Emerson.
Yeah, Michael Emerson.
Michael
Sorry,
Emerson.
yeah, he's in
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
He's in it
Emmy
as
Award winner.
as
Two-time
a
Emmy Award winner.
yeah. I always forget his name. Like my wife's bumped into him on the street. He hangs out
Me too.
here all the time.
I saw him at a restaurant one time when he was doing the TV show that he did with Jim Caviezel.
Person of interest.
Yeah, she ignored him completely and went nuts over his dog. So it's quite funny.
I'm
on
sure
his
he appreciated that.
birthday, no less.
Nice.
But
He has a very
anyway.
attractive wife, by the way. You might,
And,
not, you might not know that.
But yeah, he's in it as the bad guy, the influence. And as
course he's a
usual,
bad guy.
whenever that good
Look at him.
dude gets sinister, he's so good.
Yeah.
So that's it.
He's a great bad guy.
Famously, only supposed to
Evil.
have like 2 or 3 episodes on Lost, and then he went on for years. and
Yeah,
won.
like almost
Okay.
the rest of the show.
John?
The leader of the others.
The others.
You know what? I've had my family's kind of like been visiting here, moving here, so I really haven't watched much. The only
yeah,
thing I can
I hope
actually
Dawson found
remember.
another
So here's a list of 20 films. Yeah.
yeah. The only thing I can actually remember that we rewatched the other night was, do you remember that movie, The First Wives Club?
Yeah.
Bette
Yeah, of
Midler,
course,
Diane
of
Keaton,
course.
Stockard Channing, and Melanie Griffith. Still so funny.
Nice.
Watched that the other night. Anyway, I haven't been watching much TV or anything. How about you?
I really wanted to watch more TV, but a lot of it was banned where I was, so that was interesting. I watched Alien on the plane. I don't know if I should watch it on the plane. I was like, this is gonna be fun. I'm in a craft, but it's like it's really a drama. The first one, the
Yeah.
thriller. So it was like the first hour, I was kind of like, I remembered that, but I don't know. It's probably not the best movie to watch, but
Yeah, you
it's
should have
great.
watched Aliens. on
Yeah,
the plane.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I should have watched. So the things that are jumping out at me that I'm trying to remember, we watched some Friends here and there, of course, things to help us sleep. I watched The Poop Cruise. I watched that one. That's on
Everybody's watching
Netflix
that
now.
thing.
It's an hour. I love that
What?
Netflix is. It's about the poop cruise. You know the famous poop cruise.
The
From like
Carnival cruise
2013,
that broke
14?
down in the middle of the ocean. Everyone was
What? You
trapped on it
never-
for an
oh,
extra
shit.
10 days. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't
then
know
it
that was its
overflowed.
nickname.
I was at sea at that time on
Oh,
a
really?
Norwegian cruise ship. Yeah, the comedians
Get
on
outta
board
here.
went nuts over it. It was great.
Wow.
I love that it was the tugboats. I'm just gonna say that for people who have seen it. Anyway, I watched the I remember seeing the story about the Toronto mayor. Well, that's another Netflix docuseries, little
Yeah.
one episode, just like hour long.
the guy did crack?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody
Guys,
knows
the
that
video's
fucking
out.
guy.
Watch the video. I mean, it's hard to watch because it looks like he has rigor mortis, but listen to him talk when according to him, he didn't smoke any crack. He's speaking gibberish. It's really just it'll make you definitely never do crack. It's for sure. That was the mayor, the
Will it?
sitting mayor of Toronto. I'm trying to think. I really feel like we watched something else and I just can't.
If anyone's going to do it,
remember
the sitting mayor of Toronto would.
that's what I'm talking about.
It makes you think of that It's Always Sunny. Like seasons later, after they did it, seasons later, they're all sitting around talking about if you could do anything, there's no consequence, what would it be? And Dennis and Dee are like, crack. I would do crack again, without a doubt. Of course, I would do crack again. It's the greatest thing of all time.
I always think of Wolf of Wall Street. Smoke crack with me. Smoke crack with me.
Number 10 on the New York Times best top movies. Jeff, have you seen that list yet?
Yeah, of course. I really like The Wolf of Wall Street. So we've talked about it on our show. I think the third act throws people off, and the first two act people go like, "Oh,
I was so happy to see it so high on the list."
It's really well done. The Departed was high too. Anyway, I still think Brokeback and Crouching Tiger back to back was lazy. Same director, putting them back to back. Come on, that's lazy.
I don't agree with most of the list, but I like all the movies in the top 100. They're all
Mulholland
really
Drive
great
is
movies.
high though. That's really high.
I know. That should have probably been number 1, but whatever.
Parasite had some populism going on there, but anyway, it's all good.
It's a great movie.
Okay.
I can't believe it's number 1. It's a great movie. It's a masterpiece.
Let's talk Memories of Murder. So Memories of Murder is in the top 10. If that's number 1, Memories of Murder is top 5.
For me, I would have personally switched those two.
I would have put Memories of Murder number 1,
they are in the list.
and everybody would have gone, what? And then they would have watched it, and then they would have listened to our podcast, and everybody would understand.
Yep.
Let's
and they would have
take
32
a 3-second
followers.
break to listen to some Dasan. We're going to pick our 1980 movie. See you soon, film fans.
And we're back.
We're back. All right. We did talk about The Elephant Man, but it's not available to watch in, Dave, what were the countries? US, Canada, New Zealand, Australia.
All of them, basically.
You can't find The Elephant Man.
You can't even use a VPN to get it.
Well, and certainly not after this
counting
fucking
on you,
bill
Criterion.
passes.
Come on.
Criterion, go to the family's estate and say, please, for the sake of the cinema, But it's okay.
The cinema.
Because we're going to be doing Altered States. It's plural,
Ken
right?
Russell's Altered States, yeah.
Gets a little bit
Oh my
scary.
God, my light just died.
Yeah, just after you announced Altered States.
Literally, we said Altered States and the fucking light just died. You got to watch this on YouTube. That's crazy timing.
Dude.
What are the odds?
Written by Patty Chayefsky, directed by
Patty.
Ken Russell, starring William Hurt, Blair Brown, and Bob Balaban. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great.
I'm going to shit my pants.
Longer.
What?
When did Patty Chayefsky pass? Patty Chayefsky died young. I feel like he didn't make it very much farther than this. This is 1980.
1981. He passed away. You're exactly
See?
right.
This light, oh my God, if this light came back on, that would have been fucking awesome. All right, film fans, we're going to do Patty Chayefsky's The Altered States next week. It's a renter. Rent that shit. Let's go. Anything you want to say? Okay, bye.
Nah, baby, we're done. Later.
Bye.